Why credit cards don't feel like real money. This is Brown. Brown is a very careful person. At least, when he pays with cash. If Brown has to open his wallet and hand over real bills, he suddenly becomes a financial genius. A burger for $15? Too expensive. A coffee for $6? Absolutely not. A pair of socks for $12? Brown would rather walk barefoot. But the moment Brown pulls out a credit card, something changes. Completely. One day, Brown went shopping with cash in his pocket. He picked up a few things. A snack. A drink. A shirt he definitely did not need. Then he saw the total. $47. Brown froze. He slowly counted out the bills one by one. $20. $20. $5. Then a $1. Then another $1. Every note hurt. Every bill felt like it was disappearing forever. Brown sighed like a man losing a great battle. This is pain, he whispered. Then the next day, Brown went shopping again. Same store. Same kind of items. But this time, he used his credit card. A snack. A drink. A shirt he definitely still did not need. Total? $47 again. Brown tapped the card. Beep. Done. Brown didn't feel anything. Not even a little. No pain. No guilt. No drama. Just a tiny beep and a friendly smile from the cashier. Brown looked down at the receipt. Then at his card. Then at the receipt again. Wait, he said. Why does this feel so easy? Brown had just discovered one of the strangest tricks in money psychology. When you pay with cash, your brain feels the loss immediately. But when you pay with a card, the pain gets separated from the purchase. This is called the decoupling effect. And it is one of the biggest reasons credit cards feel so harmless. Brown decided to test it. He bought lunch with cash one day. He paid $12 in crisp bills. His brain screamed. That was money. Real money. Money he could hold. Money that was now gone forever. The next day, Brown bought the same lunch with a credit card. $12. He barely noticed. Why? Because the money was no longer leaving his hand in that exact moment. The cost was delayed. Hidden. Detached. Decoupled. Brown's brain treated the card like a magic object. Something that said, take the food now. Deal with the pain later. And later is a very dangerous word. Because later is where problems grow. Brown started noticing something even stranger. When he used cash, he constantly asked himself, do I really need this? When he used a card, that question became much quieter. Not gone. Just quieter. Cash creates friction. It forces the brain to confront the reality of spending. You see the bills leave your hand. You feel the balance shrink. You understand the cost. But a card turns spending into a tiny, invisible event. That tiny movement. Tap. Swipe. Insert. Feels almost fake. And because it feels fake, the brain underestimates the damage. Brown tried to explain it to himself in the simplest way possible. Cash feels like giving up food from your fridge. Card feels like making a promise to future Brown. And future Brown, as always, is expected to handle everything. Future Brown will be disciplined. Future Brown will check the statement. Future Brown will regret the extra orders. Future Brown will be fine. Unfortunately, future Brown is a liar. Or at least, a very optimistic version of Brown. So the spending kept happening. A sandwich here. A coffee there. A subscription he forgot about. Another subscription he forgot about even harder. One small card swipe after another. Each one felt harmless. But together, they piled up like invisible bricks. Brown checked his credit card statement one day and stared in silence. The numbers were not small. He had not spent $4. He had not spent $40. He had spent a lot more than he thought. And still, he barely remembered feeling any pain while spending it. That is the danger of decoupled money. The cost and the consumption do not happen at the same time in the brain. The pleasure comes first. The pain comes later. That gap is where overspending lives. Brown sat down and thought about it carefully. Why does cash feel stronger? Why does card spending feel softer? The answer is partly psychological and partly biological. When you pay cash, the brain registers a loss more sharply. It activates the feeling that something valuable has left your possession. That feeling can trigger stress, discomfort, and loss aversion. Your brain does not like losing something it already considers yours. But with a credit card, the transaction is less tangible, less immediate. The emotional, ouch, signal is weaker. The reward of buying arrives first. The pain of paying is delayed. And when pain is delayed, self-control gets sleepy. Brown leaned back. So that's why I always overspend with cards. Exactly. The card doesn't remove the cost. It only hides it for a while. And hidden costs are always more dangerous than visible ones. From that day on, Brown made a new rule. If he wanted to control spending, he had to make the cost feel real again. Sometimes he used cash for daily purchases. Sometimes he checked his card total before buying anything. Sometimes he asked one simple question. Would I still buy this if I had to hand over the cash right now? That question saved him more than once. Because once Brown understood the trick stopped working. So the next time you tap your card and feel nothing, remember Brown. Remember the beep. Remember the invisible gap between buying and paying. Because credit cards do not feel like real money for one simple reason. Your brain gets the reward now. And the pain later. And that little delay? That is where the money disappears.